Hi, my name is Gigi, and I am welcoming you to a new channel called The Partisan Liberal, to be exact. Don't confuse me with a right wing Republican or anybody with any conservative values. For you see, science is now proving that there are two different people on this planet with two very different brains. One of those factions of the planet are people who want to get along with each other. They want a place for everybody to live and for everybody to be happy. And another faction of the planet calls themselves conservatives or Republicans. And they're not very interested in your happiness or not. They're only interested in their own happiness, their own profit, and their own gain. And they will do and take whatever it is of yours that they can in order to have that happen. I am not here to make deals with the devil. I take no prisoners. I'm not looking for common ground. I don't want to compromise with people who do not have a brain, who can even detect what logic is. I want to have an organization and a planet and a country that is run by people who are logical, who are empathetic, compassionate, civil, and who want the best for all the people on the planet and all the people in our country. And that can be nothing or no other than what is currently called the liberal. Now, I know there will be many of you with objections about what the names of the parties were before and other different facts, but I'll explain that to you as we go. The most important thing that you must understand from today is that we are not going to get anywhere by having any negotiations with anybody of a right-wing background. Now, 20% of conservatives do have a sane brain, but 80% of them have a brain that is very different from ours, and it's different in two different ways. Then the first way is it has what's called an enlarged amygdala. And that enlarged amygdala has been studied for decades, and it's been associated with animals who are very vicious and aggressive. In the 1990s, psychologists and the American Psychological Association studied the differences between liberals and Republicans, and they decided that people didn't choose their party. They decided that there were core beliefs that we had that were based on our brain structure, and those core beliefs led us to one party or the other. Now, here's the concerning part. Even in the 1990s, psychologists were concerned because Republicans showed a 3 to 11 chance, or I should say, the chance of having 3 to 11 psychopathic characteristics. Psychopathic. That means no empathy, no concern, no care for anybody else but themselves. Just things that were self-consumed, like how much money they could make, or how much they could gather, or how greedy they could be, or what they could take of yours and take on for themselves and have it be their own. Then in the year 2009, there were studies done at the University of London. And at the University of London, they put both Republican-leaning thinking people and liberal-leaning thinking people under functional MRIs. And if you don't know what that is, then you'll have to stay tuned. The results were remarkable. 80% of the people who called themselves conservatives or had conservative beliefs, such as pull yourself up by your own bootstrap, 80% of those people also had a different part in the brain, which was very different from the normal human brain. And that is, it lacked the logical part in the brain that is in the prefrontal cortex. It's called the anterior cingulate cortex. And that part of the brain is either shrunken, underdeveloped, and it certainly has little, if no blood flow going through it, which basically means it's not being used. That's why they don't understand climate warming. That's why they think that they can pray their way out of the gay. That's why they think that fairy tales are going to save them. And The other part, the amygdala, is the part of them that makes them very greedy and very self-centered. They don't care whether you have health care or not. They are so hoping that universal health care doesn't work because they don't want all the people on the planet to be covered. They would just want to make sure they have their health care, they have their expensive toys, they have their expensive homes, they have their bank accounts, and that's it. And everybody else can fend for themselves, whether they live or die. And it even makes them find our suffering funny. So that is why I thought The Partisan was such an appropriate name for this show, because I am in no way recommending conversing, negotiating, or making any compromises with people who basically are psychopathic. Why would you want to make a deal with a psychopath? A psychopath has only your harm in his mind. He doesn't care about anything else. He may pretend or say that he does, but look at their actions. They won't permit any type of transformation as far as immigrants are concerned. They won't look at the situation as far as tax policy is concerned. They will not bring up corporate taxes to 30%, which will bring in at least $500 billion extra a year for us. I mean, asking a corporation who is making record-breaking profits to pay 30% in taxes is not ridiculous. In fact, it's a little insane that we don't request more. So when you see how they behave and take away their words, you can see that their behavior is very destructive. And you cannot make a deal with people who have your demise in mind. You need to let them go. And we need to have liberals form together with themselves strong bonds and form strong political ties so that we can once again take control of the American government and put in place all the laws that are equal for everybody, for gay people, for ethnic people, for people who are working what they call menial jobs, which is lifting a shovel for 8 hours a day, which, by the way, I can imagine is pretty hard work. I think that if somebody works an 8-hour day, and I don't care whether they sit in a personal jet with their feet on a coffee table drinking latte and making decisions about their company's pollutants, or whether they are in a ditch with boots on and digging holes with a shovel, if they work that 8-hour day, they should have enough money to live and to eat, to have a roof over their house and a doctor if need be. And that, I think, is just basic human kindness that one should have for one another. So, this is the first day. I welcome you to The Partisan, and I will be back the next time bringing many facts and figures and many scientific studies so that you too will understand why the two of us cannot live on this planet together, and we certainly cannot compromise or find common ground, because you cannot find common ground with the devil. This is Gigi Jacobs, and you've been listening to The Partisan. Good night.